The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Netflix has had a worldwide rollout, and they're running into trouble immediately.
A setback.
Indonesia, well, the largest telecom company in Indonesia, known as Telkom, that's with a K, started blocking Netflix pretty much immediately. And they raised two objections. One, they claim that Netflix does not have a permit to operate in Indonesia. I think we can say that this is pretty lame because it's really no different from a website. It's
right.
So that's like saying that Amazon does not have a right to operate there, or the David Pakman Show website does not have a right to operate there. Makes no sense.
Right.
I wouldn't expect people at Telkom to understand and or care about that.
Okay.
We know why we know it's about money, right?
Of course.
And two, they say that Netflix content may be too violent or adult to meet the country's censorship standards. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is not the government. This is not a government agency, or they're not responsible for handling that.
Right.
So, in a statement to the Journal, Netflix said it was quote, an internet television network, not a traditional broadcaster, implying that they might not be bound by these rules. An Indonesian official suggested to the Journal that Netflix register itself as a foreign provider of internet-based media and, quote, self-censor its content. Netflix pointed to its ratings guides and parental controls as ways for viewers to control what they watch. And that's pretty much what is going on there.
It strikes me as quite bogus.
It is kind of bogus, but not really surprising. I think ultimately it's about money. But it's interesting that the telecom company is pointing to the society's rules, or would you say rules? I don't know. They're pointing to things that have nothing to do with them as to why they are able to censor this.
But so is it, what are they demanding? If it is a money grab, how will the money grab happen?
I don't think it's a money grab. I think it's trying to prevent losses. So by blocking Netflix, I'm guessing that this is a company that this is like the Netflix throttling that happens here.
Right.
This is why Netflix has to pay, I don't know how many millions of dollars a year to companies like Comcast to ensure that their product is delivered the same way as everything else.
Insane.
So I think it's just so they don't lose money. So they're probably providing people with cable TV subscriptions as well as internet subscriptions, internet service. And they're blocking Netflix via the internet service to ensure that people keep watching and paying for their cable service.
Isn't it interesting how I'm a big supporter of Netflix. I love Netflix, have Netflix, etc. It's interesting, though, how Netflix, by virtue of its success, has sort of gone from this little player that we've got to make sure doesn't get bullied to this huge publicly traded corporation that now is paying millions of dollars to...
They're still getting bullied.
They're still getting bullied, but at the same time, we're talking now about a very big corporation. I mean, it's a large publicly traded corporation.
That is true. As far as big corporations go, I think Netflix is one of the good guys. They don't charge a lot for their product.
Right.
They don't seem to be polluting or destroying the planet in any way. I've never heard that they're unfair to their employees.
I mean, a lot of, I guess, fossil fuels and shipping those DVDs back and forth constantly, but
that's a small part of their what
relatively
they do.
Small, yeah.
And they are creating their own shows, so they're filming using electricity. I mean, there's a carbon footprint, of course. Well,
arguably, those shows were going to be filmed somewhere. What I don't know is, are Netflix originals available on DVD, or are those streaming only? Like, if you want House of Cards, but you have the DVD Netflix as opposed to the streaming Netflix, can you get those on DVD? Are they printing those?
I don't know. I would say probably not. Because I think if you have the DVD service, you also have the streaming service, right?
No, I think they separated it.
Did they?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Well, we'll see how many other countries, big telecom companies in other countries decide to start blocking Netflix. See, that's the difference. In these countries, they have the option to completely block Netflix, whereas in the United States, that doesn't seem to be legal. So they just throttle Netflix instead. Wonderful, wonderful free market stuff, Dave. I love it. A North Carolina man is in custody after essentially executing a Good Samaritan who was trying to help this man after his car spun out during the blizzard we had.
Right.
So this guy, Marvin Jacob Lee, 27 years old, his car spun out, and 3 men in a passing truck got out to help him, and some neighbors in the area, I guess, were alerted to this and came out to try and help. They thought he was drunk or on dope at first because I guess of how strange he was acting. So they decided just to call the police, let the police deal with it. As soon as they started trying to call the authorities, this guy pulls an automatic pistol out and just starts shooting. And people ran, but he hit someone. And then after this person fell, he walked over to them and just executed them. Yeah,
Wow.
with several gunshots. The victim was Jennifer Hevner, 26. And I guess when SWAT arrived, Lee was passed out inside his car. He awoke. They pulled him out. He tried to resist arrest. Currently in custody.
Completely insane story. I mean, just utterly insane.
Can you imagine just how caught off guard you'd be? You think you're trying to help someone, and then they just kill you.
Do you have to second guess stopping to help someone in an accident because they might think you're trying to carjack them and then you end up dead? I mean, it's just completely insane.
And it could have been that this guy was just really drunk or really high on something.
Yeah.
It seems like substances were in play here. But if this loser didn't have access to guns, I don't think anyone would be dead.
Probably not. Yeah. I mean, when you drive by and someone's car is disabled or whatever, right? There's an opportunity to stop. Do you ever stop and say, "Hey, you guys okay? Do you need help or anything like that?" Do you ever think about doing that?
I think about it. I don't really. I mean, if I'm going back to my car in a parking lot somewhere and I see someone has their hood open and something is not right with their vehicle, I'll say, "Hey, do you need a jump? Yeah, are you good?" But I don't pull over on the side of the road and help people really. I think the vast majority of the time there's already someone there or a police officer there, or it's on a major highway and
You assume someone else will stop, which
either
as we
you
know,
assume, either you assume someone else will stop, but it's not the safest thing just to pull over on one
No,
of
it's
these heavily traveled highways. So do you do that? I mean,
I've never stopped just randomly and said, "Hey, can I help you?" I mean, part of it, I don't think
now
I'm,
you'll think not only will you think twice about it, you'll think 3 times about it now.
Yeah, after this story.
Right?
I mean, I think it's important not to think that these things are likely just because of this story, but clearly it happens. And so how are you going to put it out of your mind completely? I don't think it's because I'm scared that that it's a trap of some kind, or
No.
anything like that. So that doesn't go through my mind, but I often do just think to myself, what can I really do? I don't even have jumper cables. I guess if they did, I could potentially give them a jump. But usually you can tell. I mean, oftentimes it's like a wheel or a tire. It's like, am I going to be better than them at changing the tire? I don't know. I might be as good, but now with new cars, it's like you have to know very specifically where the jack goes and whatever. I don't know. I mean, I have never done it, and maybe
Yeah.
that's wrong of me to not have done.
Most people have cell phones too. I think they have pretty easy access to help.
But this is the logic, though, where people end up, that it's that famous story where a crowd saw someone getting beaten to death on the street and nobody did anything because they assumed, hey, it's so busy here, someone else is definitely going to get involved, and a woman was beaten to death.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it, Kitty something, I think. I only remember vague things about it.
Well, I was going to say, let's say I'm driving down the road and it is just below freezing temperatures and I see someone's car is broken down. I can see that it's not running. Maybe in a situation like that, I might stop and say, is everything under control here? Are you
Right.
good? But most of the time, it's not the type of situation where they're going to die because their car broke down.
That you know of.
That I know of. All right, moving on. Big breakthrough in AI.
Yeah.
Dave, are you familiar with the game Go?
Yes, although I don't remember the specific logistics of it, but I'm aware of the game.
I've never played it. I'm aware of it too. I believe I know how it's played, but I'd like to try it. Yeah, why not? It sounds like a great game. Very old game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Chinese game, originally, I guess, so I'm told. It's a board. One player has black pieces, one player has white pieces. You
Racist.
put them down on many different points on the board, and you try and basically encircle your opponent's pieces. And they say that it's a very complex game. They say that no 2 games have ever been the same, and they say that there are more positions available on the Go board than there are atoms in the known universe.
Wow.
So they say. Sounds far-fetched to me.
Well, I mean, it's just math.
It is math, but
When you have, I
atoms
mean,
in
if
the
you look at
known
the size of the
universe-
board and the number of pieces, I think that it's not that crazy to think about the number of different combinations of all those pieces.
that's a lot of combinations.
Yeah,
But atoms in the known universe.
that's a lot too.
That is a lot. I know it's math, but we can determine exactly how many positions there are on a Go board.
Yes.
Very easily.
Right.
I don't know how we can very easily determine how many atoms there are in the known universe.
All right.
Just saying.
Lewis doesn't know, ladies and gentlemen. That's the key phrase there.
I don't know. If someone would like to explain that to me, please, by all means.
Because as we know, anything Lewis doesn't know, nobody knows.
I suggest you Google how many atoms are in the known universe right now. You will not be able to find a definitive answer
I'll work on it.
because there isn't one. We can estimate,
Ah,
but we don't know. But we do know how many positions are available on a Go board.
okay.
That number is not here, but it can be determined. And an AI has now been developed that has defeated other Go AIs 499 out of 500 times. And then it beat one of the top Go players in the world. Many experts were saying that it would take probably 10 more years for this type of AI to be developed. But Google has developed it very quickly, and they will soon be testing it against the world's top Go player, who is some Korean player. And I don't know how much we can add to this. It's just, it's an interesting development, interesting breakthrough. They're talking here a lot about the algorithms and all of that and why it was so complicated to come up with one of these, to come up with this AI, because typically each player has a choice of about 200 moves in Go with compared to about 20 in chess.
Right.
So congratulations to Google. We are very quickly approaching Skynet, and we'll all be dead soon.
IBM has been doing a lot of commercials lately featuring
Watson.
Watson. Yeah. And that's it's been interesting to see that. Yeah, the technology is developing, no doubt about it. Now, Lewis, I wonder if at some point you would, in your online video gaming, start to wonder if some of the other supposedly human players are actually people that are creating an account and then a computer is playing for them so that they can quickly level up and obtain different in-game achievements. That could really alter the course of these online massive multiplayer games.
I'm very curious to see what happens in the world of computer AI, because the video game AI is just really not that good. When someone says, what are you doing? When someone says that the AI is really good, to me that doesn't mean much because I know how much better it can be.
Right.
Right. And so this
Can't
is
be
also
better than in Mario. I mean, the Koopas in Mario had the best AI.
the Koopas in Mario. I wouldn't say that, no. And yeah, some games have great AI. It's mostly crap though. So as we see this field develop, I can't wait, Dave, until I actually square off against some enemy in a game and they are more difficult than any human opponent.
Right.
That will be a very interesting day. I hope I get to see that day happen.
All right. I think you will.
All right. Anything to add?
Nothing else.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.